Alright, hey everybody, it's Charlie Craven, and today I'm going to tie for you an Ausable Wulff. And this is after a couple of dry runs, because, let me give you the example. I'll just throw him up here in the vise. The other day, I did just really what turned out to be a great, very clear, beautiful video of this fly, and did not turn my microphone on, so it was a silent movie, and I might enter that into the old-timey fly tying video category somewhere and see if I can't win something for the silent movie category, but we're going to maybe try not to screw everything up this go around. It seems as though my microphone is working now, so we're going to go ahead and try to tie one of these up for you. So this is a fly from Fran Better's. And it's an eastern fly, and it's not to say that it won't work out west. It's an attractor dry. It's got a hair wing and hair tails and fairly heavy hackle collar, and sort of a cinnamon to tan colored body. So I'm going to just walk you through how you'd go about tying one of these. I'm sure somebody came around looking to see how to tie an Ausable, and I'm going to show you. So what I did there is I started some red 14-aught thread, and just for the record, Ausables are usually tied with red or fire orange thread. You can kind of take your pick. I see them tied both ways, but I'm going to use red here just because I like red. So I'm going to make a thread base back to about midpoint on the hook, and then I'm going to bring that thread back up to about the 75% point, maybe just a skosh behind that. And what I've done here is I've pre-stacked some calf body hair, and so I've got a nice clump of white calf body hair. And I'm going to take this clump and I'm going to measure it against the hook, and you want it just a shank length long. So don't get too long with it, just a shank length long. I see that one short hair sticking out there. And now he's gone. Alright, so I'm going to take this shank length long bunch of hair and I'm going to tie it in. I'm going to put one turn and another turn right on top of it. Now I'm going to work a band of thread that travels back toward the bend, like so, and that'll anchor that hair down in place. Now what I want to do with these butt ends is I want to lift them up, and I want to bring my scissors in from the back, get my fingers out of the way here for you, and I'm going to kind of lay that back down again and cut at an angle to create a tapered base. You can see I missed one there. So I've got a tapered base, and that's going to help taper the body, and we're also going to bevel the tail into it. So now I'm going to continue wrapping back over those butt ends, all the way back to the bend. And I'll just leave the wing laying forward over the hook at the moment. So now for the tail, I'm going to use some moose body hair. And kind of same gig, I'm going to take what's going to end up being 12 or 15 hairs, I'm going to say. I'm going to put this in my small stacker and stack this up nice and neat. And I'm going to measure it against either the hook shank or the wing. They should be the same length. Oh gosh. It's like I've done this before. And I'm going to tie this in at the bend and make this band come forward from there. And I don't want to get too far forward. I just want to wrap up to just about the end of where I cut that calf body hair off. Maybe one more turn here. Now I'm going to lift these butt ends up, and I'm going to lay the scissors in flat so that those butt ends taper in to the butt ends of the wing. So I've got a nice even underbody with no lumps or bumps. Alright, now that I've got that part done, that's the hard part. From here on out, we're basically just making a standard hair wing fly, nothing special here. So I'm going to close my fingers under the hook, and I'm going to sweep this hair up and back, and I'll bring the thread to the front edge. And at that point, I want to make a thread dam, which is just a wedge of thread. You can see I've got to kind of work back and forth up against the base of this hair to stand it more upright. Now this calf body hair is solid. It's not like deer or elk hair, but it's got some hollowness to it. It's a solid hair, so it's not going to flare per se, so you really got to wedge it. And you can see that's standing pretty much upright. If I give you a little rotation there, you can see that's spread out nicely. What I don't like are these hairs that protrude back toward the bend. So what I'm going to do there, my thread's hanging in front of the wing right now. I'm going to lift all those fibers up, and I'm going to take a couple turns from front to back, right up against the back edge of the wing. Like so. And you can see, actually, that's a great view. See how that'll gather that wing? Take another turn around the hook. Like so. Got a little weird thing happening over there. What's happening over there? There, that's more like it. Haha, I see what's happening. The thread wrap wasn't quite far enough forward. Alright, so now I'm going to divide this wing into 2 even clumps. And my fingers can do this better than my eyeballs, especially at this stage in my game. I can feel how much hair is in each wing a little more easily than I can eyeball it. But what I want to do is divide this hair into 2 clumps, and I'm going to hold on to the far wing, and I'm going to go from back to front 3 or 4 turns diagonal between the wing, like so. Now I'm going to grab my near wing, and I'm going to come from front to back 3 or 4 turns, and around the hook again. So I've got those wings divided with X-wraps. So now what I'll do is I'm going to post the wing. So what I like to do this is I'm going to turn the far wing a little bit upright, and I'm going to pick up the bobbin in my material hand. So this is not my thread hand. I tie left-handed, so I'm wrapping this thread with my right hand, and I'm going to wrap around the base of the wing just enough turns, working my way up from the bottom to group that wing all together. And then I'll work back down and come around the hook. Now for my near wing, absolutely viable to turn the near wing up and repeat the same process. From commercial tying, it's just become the habit that I do. I'm just going to switch hands. I'm going to make those same turns on this near wing, up and back down the post, and then around the hook to create posts on the base of that wing. Now you can see those wings, get you just lined up just right, are still angled forward. But once we've got the posts on them, we can position those wherever we want. That gives us some ability to position those wings. And where I want those is about 90 degrees to the hook shank and about 45 degrees or so to each other. That's a good view. If I hold that just right, come back over here. Nice and even. Both wings still stacked nice and neat. Get that set a little higher in my vise. Alright, now for the body. Like I say, there's some room for interpretation on the body color. Stephen Hagen's Australian Possum. You know what, I've already tied a cinnamon color one. I'm going to tie a tan one. So I'm going to just use this Possum dubbing. The other dubbing that I used on the first one that I showed you was Possum mixed with some rusty orange rabbit that gave it a little bit more of a cinnamon color. But I've already got a couple of those sitting on my desk, so I'm going to tie this one in more of a straight tan. And commercially or historically even, I see these in both colors, so I don't feel bad about doing this. So I'm going to take a pinch of this dubbing, and this is just tan Australian Possum, and I'm going to twist this down onto the thread. Now this is a fairly coarse natural dubbing. It's actually a really nice dubbing. It's soft, but it comes out pretty buggy all said and done. Stephen does a great job getting all the long weird guard hairs out of this stuff. So I'm going to start this dubbing just back here at the base of the tail, and I'm going to work forward, and I like kind of a robust body on this, and I'm going to taper as I go. You can see I'll take a couple turns forward and a couple turns back over that to square that up, and then I want to finish with a nice clean shoulder at the front end. And you can see there's a few little random long guard hairs that are just not my style. I usually try to get those out of there. And that is as much a function of me tying with this damn camera that shows every little detail as it is anything to worry about. I can't actually see that fiber right there with my eyeball, but I can see it on the camera. Alright, so now we're going to put some hackle on here, and this is just going to be brown and grizzly hackle. So I'm going to stack, I've got 2 saddle feathers here. I'm going to stack one on top of the other. In this case the grizzly's on top. It really doesn't matter which one's on top. and I'm going to strip the base about a half shank long. What I want is from just behind the hook eye to the front edge of the body and just a bit more. So you can see these stems as they sit right now are a little long, but I'll show you a trick for trimming those off as well. So I've got these set one on top of the other, and I'm going to tie these in at the front edge of the body. And I want to get a few turns on here before I turn this to show you. What I want to make sure that I have is some bare stem beyond my tie down, bare stem on the base of the feather there. Now these stems up here by the hook eye are just a touch long, so I'm just going to come in and just nip those off so they're just behind our index point. Then I'll cross in front of the wings and continue tying those stems down right up to the hook eye. I'll bring the thread back to the base of the wing, take one turn behind, and come forward again. Now what that was for is I'm trying to keep the underbody, or the thread underbody there, even, so that when I wrap this hackle I don't have a big taper to it. Anytime you tie a hair wing in, you're going to have more bulk on top of the hook behind the wings than you do in front. And no matter what you do, short of tying in another material and just cutting it off on the front side of the wing, which is a bit much, but really no matter what you do, you're never going to get that even again. But what I really shoot for and try to do is keep this underneath side, the bottom side of this thread base, as smooth as I can. So now I'm going to pick up both my feathers and I'm going to start to wrap right here at the front edge of the body. I'm going to put one turn right in front of the other, and I shoot for 3 turns behind the wing. Then I'll sweep the wings back and put the next turn right in front, and one more. Then I'm going to bring the feather up and bring the thread right behind it, straight up, straight down, as vertical as I can get. And I'll come in and trim those 2 feathers out with just the very tips of my scissors. Looking pretty good so far. Now, I don't need much for a thread head here because I'm going to put a whip finish on top of it, so I'm just going to put a couple turns to sort of smooth off those stubs of the hackle feathers. Then I'll come in with my whip finish and cover it so that I've just got a smooth, clean red thread head. I'll nip that thread out of there. I've got a couple of odd hackle fibers back here at the back that I'm not a big fan of, but we'll get rid of those. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about that. Now one last thing, on a conventional vise, and this is the way I've always done this, if you turn the fly upside down and come in with some thin head cement, just put a drop. That was real thin head cement, that was a big drop. I just thinned this stuff down. Put it in right behind the hook eye, and you saw very quickly how that ran back into the base of the wings, so that's going to reinforce the base of those wing posts as well. Be careful if it's real thin. I should have checked that ahead of time, but at any rate, it'll work fine. If you by chance got any into the hook eye, you can take the tip of a feather, just a scrap off your desk like so, and push that up through the hook eye. I don't think I got any in the eye, but we'll find out. Just push that through the eye and that'll clean that out. But that is our Ausable Wulff. That's the tan version. There's a cinnamon colored version. Not a huge range between the two, but again, you can see how you could tie this in a variety of colors. Cool little fly. This is going to be a good little attractor. I think you'll enjoy fishing that fly if you went out and give it a try. It's caddisy colored, sort of mayfly-y profile, but just a buggy general bug. I think you could put that to use. So there you go. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm Charlie Craven. You guys, thanks for watching. Take care.